Coming up, MaxPass is expanding at Disneyland. We're going to be talking about some Star Wars Celebration announcements and a little bit about Knott's Berry Farm, maybe some Universal in there. Who knows what'll happen? But all that and maybe some more, who knows, in this episode of the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 765 of the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged for the week of April 17th, 2019. The Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And we're also brought to you by Disboards.com, a great resource in helping you plan your perfect Disneyland vacation and a great place to continue the conversation after this episode. So check them out on the web. Yeah, the web, I said it. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and like I said, in this week's episode, we got a lot to talk about, and to join me for this week's discussion, we've got Mr. Corey Fiasco.
Hey there.
Who I am still hell-bent on never saying your name. And then in the back, we've got Craig Williams, the man who makes it all happen.
Ahoy.
And our very special guest, Sam. I can't remember your last name in this moment and second in time.
Carter.
Yeah, Carter. Yeah, I almost called you Sam Cooke because I had in my head, and I was like, we've got the greatest musician of all time, Sam Cooke.
I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yep. Good to be here.
All right. Thank you for calling in. And we're going to be talking a little bit about Knott's Berry Farm for a hot second later, too, because Sam was awesome enough to spend some time with us out there on our recent California trip. But I just want to dive right in unless anybody's got some housekeeping. Mm-hmm. Housekeeping? All right, cool. All right. Well, first up, just a little quick thing. It was listed as a news story, but it's really like 2 sentences long, and that is that the Disneyland Resort is expanding their MaxPass service to offer the nighttime entertainment now, and that includes you can get fast passes for Fantasmic and World of Color. For those of you who aren't aware, guests who purchase MaxPass or you have it included in your annual pass will be able to make fast pass selections from your phone. This saves you the time of going to the actual attraction, the kiosks, whatever. It's confusing in Disneyland. They're not always in the same part. So it's $15 a day, or you can add it to your annual pass, I believe, for $100 a year. And it saves you a trip. You can make fast passes at either park depending on where you are, and it's good as soon as you have your park ticket activated. But I like this. I'm assume that nobody really has an issue with this.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Why you wouldn't get it, I don't understand. The best part now really is adding the Fantasmic and World of Color to it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of scratching my head why that didn't happen in the first place. But maybe they wanted to kind of test it out and see how it worked. But it's fantastic. I wouldn't mind if they added Frozen to that too at the Hyperion.
But, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I kind of tested it out a little bit. You can't do it when you're in the parking lot. I thought it was just an on-property thing, or maybe even like when you get there to downtown Disney, it won't let you pick an attraction yet. You have to be in the park, or at least have started park hopping by then.
Yeah.
But back in the old day, when you had to like hike across the whole resort to I want to get a fast pass for Screamin' or something, you literally had to hike there. And now kind of saves you from walking all over the place. It's awesome.
Yeah, especially for the 2 nighttime shows, because this is it was still the annoyance when we were just out there a couple weeks ago that we were lucky enough that we were kind of hooked up with a great spot for World of Color, so we didn't have to worry about going through the fast pass hoop with that. But we did, Rhino and I wanted to catch Fantasmic and not getting one of the standing show up at the last second or camp out for hours and try to get a good spot, any of that. We wanted an actual fast pass for it, so we were running around California Adventure all morning, and then finally I'm like, nope, we now are running out of time. We have to run back over to Disneyland for just a hot second to grab a Fantasmic fast pass and then get back over. And it's still it's not that big of a deal because when all's said and done, it's literally only 10 minutes. If you're even like all the way at the back by Pixar Pier, for two grown men without kids, they can make it from there to Frontierland to get their fast pass in like 10 minutes. But we also, again, we had nothing holding us down. Other people, it can be an inconvenience. It's something that should have been in MaxPass right from the start, but it wasn't. And now I am so happy because it opens up that world.
Yeah.
It was already good. Now it's great. Like you got to get it.
I think whatever things they can implement to the MaxPass is definitely a plus. When I lived in California, they didn't have that system yet. So when I came down here for the first time with you guys, I was really surprised at how little MaxPass, FastPass options that there actually were. Like when I saw that they didn't offer it for Pirates or a lot of the classics. But
that needs to remain because that's literally what FastPass Plus has ruined here in Walt Disney World. And by MaxPass only covering attractions that have FastPass, that's great. And honestly, there are a couple attractions that teeter on the point where it's like, well, they would probably be okay if they added FastPass to them. For the most part, I'm okay with the current list that they have. You can still find ways to utilize MaxPass, and the great aspect of it is while I like using it for the attractions, it's more about having all the free downloads of PhotoPass photos when they work.
It's great because you can get all the ridiculous photos, those photos from rides that you're whatever that you're like, oh, this is terrible, but I don't want to spend. I think like one ride photo is like $15 or something. Yeah. So you got to think like you just download one of those photos and you've saved yourself all the character interactions you can get with that too. But what's interesting is that when you got for somebody that might not like first time Disneyland people or people who haven't been there in a while, like I forgot. I was thinking it was in the app and I just hadn't paid attention and it went out so quickly I couldn't get the FastPass for it. But then also there's like when you come into Disneyland Park and let's say you want to go to Fantasmic, it's not super clear that where you go to get a FastPass for Fantasmic or that you might even know that you need it. So if you know about, if you know about MaxPass, then you see that information in the phone when you're scrolling through. So it's nice, like kind of making you aware because I forget because here you can kind of still maybe just get into Fantasmic. So it's I'm in a different mentality when I go out there, I guess. So, but before, when we did it on our last trip, Craig explained to me that when you got the MaxPass for World of Color, I'm sorry, not the MaxPass, the FastPass for World of Color or for Fantasmic, it didn't count against you for any of the other attractions that you do. And I'm wondering if that's still true in the app or not, but I guess we'll have to go and try that out at some point in the future.
I would assume that it's still true.
That it still doesn't count against you?
Yeah, because it's a complete different set of rules. And I mean, if you could, just because you can book it through MaxPass doesn't mean you still can't go up to the kiosk and book it the old-fashioned way.
That's true.
It's just because it's more convenient now doesn't mean they would change the rules all of a sudden. I could be wrong since we haven't been there to test it, and someone will let us know if they did. But just changing the ease of it, I don't think would change the entire system.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm with you about the adding FastPass things because when they made FastPass My Disney Experience a thing out here, they went through and created FastPass lanes for a lot of attractions here that kind of threw a wrench in the whole system. So I'm kind of hoping some rides I can still just be on level playing field with people,
right?
Wait with the masses and stuff. But okay, well, let's talk about Star Wars Celebration that just happened this last weekend in Chicago. So lots of fun stuff came out of it. Not a ton about Galaxy's Edge, but I would just like to take just a moment or two. Did everybody like the trailer? Because I was like emotional. Okay.
How many times did you watch it?
Well, it was like 3 immediately when it came out. Like I was literally like walking out of somewhere and I'm like on my phone, putting my headphones in and I'm like huddling in a corner watching it. And I'm like, don't cry in front of these people. Don't cry in front of these people. And so like, I like to watch it every night before I go to bed. So maybe I'll dream about it.
I've watched it
The
once.
music's amazing in it. Like you could just listen to the trailer and it's great.
Yeah. I'm a big J.J. Abrams fan, so for me, I love his style of look, and it's very present right there in that trailer. So
I've watched the trailer once, and like you just said about J.J. Abrams, I really liked The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I thought The Force Awakens was awesome. So I'm really looking forward to Episode 9.
Yeah, so that was like kind of the big. Was that Friday? I believe that came out. So that's kind of everyone's you're getting there's nothing like a Star Wars trailer that gets like the blood pumping and you just like all of a sudden, it's in your mind and in your brain. And then the next day they did a Galaxy's Edge, like a Parks and Resort panel, right? Is that what they were?
Yes.
They referred to it as. But before we move on from that, we did learn that Celebration's going to be in Anaheim in 2020 again. The last time it was there, I think, was like 2015.
Yeah, it was right around. It was before Force Awakens, because then Orlando happened 2 years later in 2017, in advance of The Last Jedi, and now Chicago here for I think there might have been one in between Anaheim and Orlando.
I think there was one in England
Germany
or something.
England.
Yeah. I knew there was one in Europe, so that's why. But it's interesting. I feel like in 2021, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not here at Disney World, because it's the 50th anniversary, and
the hotel might be open by then.
Yeah, right. So we'll see. But
the interesting part with that, not to derail us too much, is since we know the movies are taking a back seat after
2020,
or after this one.
Yeah.
What starting in 2020? We know we're going to have a focus on parks, any of the streaming services, or any of the shows coming to the streaming service Disney Plus, and then look backs at the old movies, other areas of fandom. It's interesting to see what they would get as a tentpole. Because for me, when I was thinking about Celebration this year, it was solely because of the movie.
Yeah.
So, but I get it. Maybe I'm not a great all-around fan in that sense. I do like all aspects, but motivation to me isn't going. I would not travel to Chicago to see a panel on the Clone Wars. I get that a lot of people love that show. That's not going to get me to super travel.
Yeah. The thing with the movies is that, J.J. Abrams had bought everybody food in line for that first one. I think he did that again this weekend for Celebration in Chicago. And then Rian Johnson, the director of Last Jedi, had come out and literally was out for hours when we slept overnight in the line. And so we got to meet him and take some photos, and he signed some stuff for us. And that was really cool. So it's kind of like, that part of it slips away a little bit, that anticipation of that sort of thing. But it doesn't mean I'm not anticipating this land. I was trying to make a segue and it really failed. Sorry. Huh? Anyway, some things that we got out of this. I thought this was a person in costume when I saw the photo originally, but they showed an image of this animatronic that's going to live in the land somewhere. Is this Hondo Anaka, the A1000 animatronic that guests will be able to interact with?
Well, this Hondo is the main animatronic that will help set up the story for Smuggler's Run. So you will see him setting up for that. So there was video before that showed off Hondo in action. It was a behind the scenes Imagineering video, but this was the first time that you actually got to hear Hondo speak and go through his spiel for it, and it was cool. We all know what Disney animatronics are like now, with the shaman and some of the ones done before. They are just amazing, and I feel like they knocked this one out of the park. It looks so lifelike.
Well, I thought because like I said, I only saw the picture, glancing, reading the stuff really quick. I just missed the line where we said it was an animatronic, and I'm like, oh, there's that guy in costume. I thought it was a person, and there's the zoomed in image and everything, and I was like, yeah, that's a dude in a Star Wars costume.
It's also worth mentioning for anyone who wants to watch the full panel, you can watch it back. It was all of Celebration. The big stuff is live streamed, and including the Galaxy's Edge panel, and it is still available to view. So you can watch it if you're interested in. It's a lot of fluff, but a couple cool parts.
Yeah. One of the things we got to see a little bit more of was the merchandise that's going to be available in the Droid Depot, which will be located, well, obviously in the Black Spire Outpost. But I thought it was interesting because I guess I thought of the droids being like the smaller ones, and I know they're going to be bigger ones, but you could kind of see the pieces of like the BB style droids, the like different color versions of like BB-8, and the personality chips that were on the counter, which was interesting because I'm like, oh, can you swipe out how the droid's going to react or interact or something like that? So I guess there's a little bit more customizability in this store than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be building a toy and kind of moving on, but it looks like you're going to be able to kind of repeat, like as you go there more often, you can buy different accessories that change the personality and how the toy interacts. I don't know. I thought that was cool.
I'm definitely all in on buying a DJ Rex, but
yeah.
Granted, we weren't there, so I can't say what it was like seeing all this stuff in person. I was slightly underwhelmed by the looks at the merchandise.
Well, the C-3PO to me looked a little like...
a lot of what they've been selling is that these products will look like who the people who live on Batuu and at Black Spire Outpost. These are the people who are making all of these products. And to me, it's like, no, I want to see more stuff that looks handcrafted, not a bunch of mass-produced, made in China products. And I feel like that's what we knew it was going to happen regardless, because it's merchandising. It's where it was going to go. But I was maybe this stuff that looks more handcrafted will still come into play someday. But it just all looked like it looked a little cheap to me. But at the same time, it will probably be remarkably expensive to buy. So that kind of
those water vapor cups were pretty cool. I mean, it did kind of sound like how you described it about being plasticky, but I loved how creative it was, and it looked like those things from Tatooine and all those desert planets. So just the fact that they put that kind of detail in it's pretty sweet.
You're talking about the Squeeze Breeze thing, right?
That's it.
That looks like the water, the moisturizer thing. Yeah, and I was like, oh, I saw that and I was like, I might get one of those, actually.
That's my problem with the droids, is that a lot of them all look still so brand new, and we're so used to seeing droids a little bit beat up and rusted and worn down. So it could be a little bit of that too. Like as you play with your droid, if you would touch it, I would never touch it. It would just sit on a shelf and be
You're
praised
not
every now and then.
Hold his hand and walk through the park together or something?
DJ Rex will sit on my shelf and he will play me. He will play me my music.
Bop and tune. Beep boop.
Hey, well, at least they all look like the Cokes there, so that's good. It's all consistent.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. That's the big one is the reveal that Coca-Cola products are going to be available in Galaxy's Edge, and that they're. I appreciate if you haven't seen the picture. Essentially, they're doing special designs of the bottles and stuff. So they're these circular. To me, it looks like BB-8. Like little tiny handheld BB-8s, and the name of the product, like, so it's Coke, Sprite, and they showed water as well, and then Coke Zero. All the
Diet Coke, Sprite, and Dasani.
They all are still the same color motif, so they're the red and silver, the green and whatever Sprite color is. But I'm of two minds about this. I like that they're, it's not blatantly says Coca-Cola, that it's written in the Aurebesh on it. But at the same time, I don't know. You can talk about this, Craig, because I know that you're pretty, I don't want to say bummed out.
No, I'm not bummed. It's not that. I'm sure I already talked about this on the Walt Disney World show, so for some of you it will be repeating, but that's what happens when the same three out of four people are also on a show that also talked about all this stuff. I hate the fact that they're putting potentially $1 billion into this land, hundreds of millions at the very least, if not $1 billion, and they are going and striving for every little bit of actual like reality into it and immersion into it. And like, you need to feel like you're a part of this land. Coke isn't a part of Star Wars. And except for all of the fun memes that everyone's making now of putting Coke bottles back into the movies and stuff like that, it's not it's not a part of it for me. So I don't want to see it in Galaxy's Edge. And I understand that people want soda and they want these products and stuff, but it doesn't.
It's not that far of a walk to just get it in Toy Story Land.
Yes.
In excuse me, Disneyland show. In like New Orleans Square or something.
It's
or
anywhere.
It's
You can't walk 3 feet in a Disney park without finding Coca-Cola. So the fact that they could have kept it out of one land, I would have liked. I feel the same exact way when I'm in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter with the beer selection that they have there. I love that they kept Coke out of the Wizarding World, and I don't like that you can walk into a bar and get Bud Light or any of the other like Guinness, Strongbow, stuff like that. That's why when I'm in the Wizarding World, if I'm getting a beer, I order either the Hogshead, I order the Dragon Scale, like I order one of those. I order what's authentic to the land. That's how I want it to be a part of. I don't think you should be given the option when you're in these immersive lands like that. That's just how I feel. You can disagree with me.
So I'm pretty sure that when Anakin was laying on that table and he was making the transition to become Darth Vader, one of those tubes was Coke Zero.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I mean, it matches the color scheme, right? I am, I thought about it a little bit. I started thinking like, okay, I get the idea of being like Coke. What is it doing there? I appreciate that it's not in like, here's a Coke can, here's a Coke plastic bottle. I really do like that Coca-Cola and Disney have come together and made these. I would argue they're not super unique looking because I feel like I've seen soda in a orb before, but it doesn't look. It still looks visually like it belongs in the land, and so I try to think like, okay, what if these things looked exactly as they do right here, as they are holding Coke, but they were holding a different drink? Would I feel the same way about these things being there?
What happens the first time that they run out of these completely and some manager makes the decision, no, we just got to bring in whatever bottles?
Yeah.
What happens then? And it starts this slippery slope of, okay, we're just throwing away everything now.
I am with you on that about the thread of integrity seems to be slowly starting to be pulled back. We're like, you don't, if you're going to go, in between, put your foot in both lands, then just say it. Don't say like, here we are doing this most amazing storytelling thing that you've ever seen, and it's going to be so authentic, like down to everything, and then Coke. I don't know. Sam, what do you think?
I think it'd be cool if Coke came up with a new flavor, and then it was in a different can, and it doesn't look like Coca-Cola or Diet Coke, and maybe something like, wow, I want to go taste it. It's something new.
Yeah.
Maybe like a soda version of like their butterbeer at Harry Potter, but I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I'm stoked that it's in the new shaped can. I think that's cool, but I never thought about that. After a few years, I don't think they're going to be making those cans forever. It's going to be a collector's thing, probably just for the opening year, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to look at it. But it really doesn't bug me. I'm just so jazzed. I get to climb on the Millennium Falcon and see all these Easter eggs. I'm thinking about that more than the soda. I assume there'd be soda there.
Yeah.
And I'm relieved that they put some theming to it. Like, true, it's a commercial. We don't see Coca-Cola in any Star Wars movies, but if you were, that's probably what it would look like.
Yeah. I am with Craig for sure on the theming of I would hate for that to fall apart on that. And I will always go into a land, and if it's something I can get everywhere else, why am I getting it there? If I want to live on Batu in Blackspire Outpost, I'm going to get whatever those signature drinks were that were inside of Olga's and various the other locations and stuff. But
we know how Lucasfilm, the story group, is working right alongside with Disney and Walt Disney Imagineering on this. I guarantee you at some point in time, if they want to keep Coke in and they want to keep it in these bottles all the time, we will see it in one of the shows at some point.
They'll make it canon.
Yeah.
You think it'll like the Mandalorian's going to be drinking out of
yeah, no, if they want it bad enough to be in there and they think that they need to, they will put it in there just to justify it and make it canon.
Oh, I have no doubt that at some point a character in a movie is going to pick up an orb-looking thing like this and twist the cap off and throw something back.
Right. I don't think it'll be a red bottle like that.
No.
But I think it'll be a cup like that for sure.
sure.
Calling it right now in episode 9. Rey's going to be flying the Millennium Falcon. She's going to be like, Chewie, get back there and get me a Coke.
Chewie, crack me open a cold one.
I think it'd be Lando.
Lando.
No, he
get
needs
that baby.
Colt 45. We all know Lando drinks Colt 45.
Of course.
Yeah, so other than that, there wasn't a ton of like new stuff that we learned during Celebration. I mean, we kind of learned the story about why Rex is a DJ now and no longer a pilot at.
That's interesting, huh?
Yeah,
they wrote a 17-page fan fiction story about it.
I was like, I just assumed he moved over, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't know about this backstory." Boom, and plop the book down.
So they're saying Rex crashed on Batuu. So does that mean he was in the Star Speeder with Disneyland guests, and they all crashed her? What happened to the guests?
No, it says he. Hold on, it was Misadventures in the Rebellion in the final battle of the Galactic Civil War, the Battle of Jakku, in a very epic TIE fighter chase. He ends up crash landing on. Oh, okay. Is Batuu like next door neighbor to Jakku?
Sounds like it.
They're just like, this is the system of ooze.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Do you think we'll see Batuu in episode 9?
Oh, I thought we saw it in the trailer because there's the opening. If you're familiar with the trailer, like I am, and you just watch it every night to put you to sleep. There's this shot, after Rey jumps over the TIE fighter with the lightsaber, which is the most amazing thing I'll ever see. Yeah, the dark and stormy, where it's the one ship that flies through and the camera pans to the left. I'm like, is that the Black Spire outpost? Because it looks a lot like the video they released when what was it, D23 in 2017 when they did the land announcement. So you can see that video online of the land announcement. Look at that and then look at that shot. Because I'm like, are we supposed to know what this planet is? Or is that them literally being like, this is canon. They're going to get their Coke.
That's the only thing, though. They've made Black Spire Outpost canon enough with all of the books that they're putting out and mentioning
books too,
yeah. Well, they're releasing a full comic line including it. Then it's included in a couple of the kids' books. They're making at least one book. It was already in Thrawn Alliances. And then add on to the fact that it's in Star Tours already, and it was mentioned in Solo. It's canon enough.
I would not be upset. Honest to God, I wouldn't really be super upset if it was a real quick. If it was a scene in maybe one of the shows, maybe that in The Mandalorian or in what the other one that doesn't really have a name yet. That's with the robot and
Alan Tudyk and Cassian.
Cassian.
Yeah.
That was it. I wouldn't be like, oh, they stopped at this planet. If I was just the average person and I didn't know a lot about Disney parks, I don't think I would even have caught it. But as long as they're not like blatantly like, oh, here comes that person in like shorts and a t-shirt and a hat, like it's like a weird, I don't know. But we also found out that Frank Oz will be reprising his role as Yoda to give us some voice work in the land. So that'll be interesting.
How do you think that's going to work? I have some thoughts on that.
I think he's going to be in the bathroom the way Moaning Myrtle is, and he's going to go potty with you.
Exactly. I think they're going to be really clever throwing sound. Like if there's like a little canyon, this is my speculation, I think there might be a little corner and they throw some audio there, and if you go stand in this spot, you might hear Qui-Gon or Yoda or someone.
That'd be cool.
I was thinking like Ewan McGregor always itches for the chance to be Obi-Wan again. Will we hear a little whisper of him talking to somebody somewhere too? And
hello there.
Hello there.
Did they scrap that movie?
I think it's going to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I think Disney Plus is the window that they needed to open now to re-explore all those spin-offs since Solo didn't do as well as it should have.
He's the best part of the prequel, so I would love to see him again.
Yeah, I need him to be in a really good Star Wars movie because
finally.
I love him.
Yeah.
And, I love Obi-Wan has always been my favorite character.
Episode 1.
Oh.
That's pod racing.
Yippee! Other than that, I think that was kind of it. Nothing too crazy. But
they did mention all the Easter eggs. And that got me thinking, like, they're saying, like, in that the panel discussion, they were talking about there's something from Return of the Jedi up on here. And
ooh.
I can't wait for that. They were talking about just little things everywhere. And just to find those little nods, because it sounds like the land was built by super fans like we are. So I think there's going to be a lot of little details that we'll probably notice for a long time.
I hope they release like a pamphlet or something, or it's going to end up being like the days of, remember when they would release the hidden Mickey books and you'd like try and look for those everywhere? It'll be something like that, but for Galaxy's Edge. Shotgun, trademark right here. It's mine.
Start writing it.
But yeah, I honestly, I can't wait. And it's crazy to think that in just over a month's time, we're going to be walking around in this land.
It's soon.
Yeah.
It's really soon.
I'm very excited. But so last a couple weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago, I guess now, we'll move on from Star Wars now. Thank you, everyone. We got to Craig, myself, Sam, and Tom went. Oh, what?
Charles too.
And Charles went to the Boysenberry Festival at Knott's Berry Farm. For those of you not familiar, this festival is taking place. It started in March, at the end of March, and goes until April 28th. So you've got a little bit of time where you can still go. But do you want to talk about the event a little bit, Sam, since you have some history with Knott's?
Well, it's kind of funny how it all worked out. You know, we started chatting about it in that last show, just as like, if you had an extra day at Disneyland, where would you go? And to me, Knott's Berry Farm, of course.
Yeah.
I look at Knott's as, it's almost like if you're going to go to Disneyland, it's the third park. And totally true, it's on a different level than Disneyland. Like it's a value park. It's a different crowd. It's not as packed. Obviously, it's still mom and pops, but I'm still there every other weekend. I love it. And since we started talking about Knott's last week, we got invited to go to the media day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Boysenberry Festival, it's been going on for a few years now, but each year it gets better and better. And this year especially, I just thought the parks never looked so good. And you know, in the whole Diz Twitter universe, when you kind of talk about all things Disney and stuff, I've gotten some comments from people like, why do you go to Knott's so much? And I'm like, because it's awesome. There's almost just as much history in some of the rides there, like the Mine Train, and you know, seeing the stuff that inspired Walt to build Disneyland. And
yeah,
and a lot of that is still there. A lot of it's not, like the, you know, Soapbox Racers is gone and the parachutes are gone, and I could, you know, cry about that forever too, and go off about how everything I miss from Knott's. But the park is just fun. You know, I love taking the kids there. But the Boysenberry Festival, I pretty much gained 10 pounds back from that thing. You know, you could buy almost like a sip and savor pass where you, I think it's $35.
Yeah.
You get 8 little punch tickets, and you gotta get to try it. It's boysenberry chili, boysenberry beer, boysenberry everything. I think the steak was my favorite.
I think so. I agree.
Course.
Yeah.
It's just dry rub boysenberry. You never would think that, okay, I guess I love boysenberry. And then, I don't know if you saw, but when you first got there, they had a recreation of the original shack from Walter Knott, and you could buy a potted boysenberry plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's a nice break from Disneyland. And it's, for some reason, Knott's has a stigma sometimes of, it's not as good as Disney, so I might skip it. That's BS.
Yeah.
Knott's is great. Definitely check it out. It has its own diehard fans too that aren't even into Disney stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's its own world. But what'd you guys think?
Oh, I mean, I loved it. I'd been to Knott's Berry Farm once during the day before, and then once with Craig and I went to Knott's Scary Farm, which I think is amazing. If you are there at any point during that going on, that is 100% worth every penny you sink into it, including the front of the line pass that you definitely need. But I mean, you talked about this being a value park, but like it's also not, I feel like, overpriced. You know, it's got a little bit of that park pricing, but like I looked it up, and you can get a park ticket, a regular park ticket, I think for like as low as $49 throughout the year, and then it's like $20 to park, which is pretty common for theme parks, and then you can get through this Boysenberry Festival all-inclusive ticket, which can be as low as $169, which sounds like a lot more, but it includes like your fast lane ticket, includes the park, and it includes all the photos all day too, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that price might scare people off, because like when I first read that on the website, like $160, are you crazy? Like all you have to do is buy the cheap ticket to get in there.
Yeah.
You have to buy it online, and then just buy whatever dishes you want.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They make it sound like you have to spend that much money, and you definitely don't.
Oh, no.
Unless you're like Craig and you buy a ton of Boysenberry beer.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, even in terms of eating, they were healthy portions for all of them. I can't,
Sure.
We shared a lot
luckily,
of it.
we were sharing stuff throughout the entire day. I can't imagine going there and maybe getting more than 3 plates by myself. So you're looking right there, like $15, maybe $20 at most, spending on just food, and I can eat a lot. It was just really, really good portions. So
yeah, I mean, I and some of the stuff sounded weird. Where you're like, oh, boysenberry chili. You're like, what? But it's like it had boysenberries like kind of baked into the bread bowl, which was interesting. There was this
that corn was amazing too.
Oh yeah, the boysenberry elote. Yeah, I love that. I there was what was the hot dog we got? Or not a hot dog, but it was like a sausage.
Well, you saw the 2-footer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the 2-footer. That's the thing dreams are made of.
I know.
Yeah, that'll be someday. We'll go back for that. But it was like boysenberry ketchup, boysenberry mustard, which sounded really weird. But I'm not kidding. Like everything I ate, I would eat again. It was all delicious.
And that needs to be said enough with full disclosure on that. We did not pay for our park admission for it. We did not pay for... I think we maybe bought like one food item out of pocket. We spent plenty of money on beer.
Yeah.
So
quite a bit.
I'll say whatever we got for free in terms of the food, we definitely balanced it out with the beer, quite a bit of it. But it was just because this was the opportunity to push forward. I know we've been talking for a long time about going back to Knott's. It's been something that we want to get to every single time, but usually when we go out to Disneyland, we're stuck on property. Maybe we'll get out for a day at Universal, and that's a solid maybe on that, but we never quite have enough time to throw Knott's into. This is something that it's a place that I would love to throw in every single trip if I could have time.
So close.
What's that?
It's so close.
Yeah.
Like compared to Universal, especially.
It's like a 15
5 minutes
minute
down the road.
Yeah, 15-minute Lyft or Uber ride from Disneyland property.
And
I think.
it's affordable, like from every standpoint of it. The tickets, obviously, to get in are affordable. The food there is affordable, and the stuff with the Boysenberry Festival, I think it's at the same level as Disney food during their festivals, if not better.
Do you want to mention the show that you really like?
Well, I'll go over all of it, and this is me putting in my thoughts now. But yeah, it's just even like merchandise is completely affordable in terms of what you get over at Disney. Like,
I think it was like the shirt for the event and the pin was like $15 or something like that.
It was $12.99.
Oh,
and you got the festival, the Snoopy shirt for the Boysenberry Festival plus a pin just for really that. You cannot get that at Disney ever unless it's at the outlets. But and even then, it's still sometimes a little bit more, but completely affordable. Ghost Town is just it is on par with Disney, if not better in some ways. And sometimes, like especially in Walt Disney World, our Frontierland, it's basically a concrete jungle. Even though it has a lot of great attractions in it, it just doesn't have that same warmth that Disneyland does.
It doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
Knott's is very authentic.
Yeah, and Ghost Town, I would say, is even more authentic than Disneyland's Frontierland.
And a lot of the people that were working in there too are very knowledgeable. There was a guy in like a dress shop that was telling me about why it's called Boysenberry, and it's I always thought it was such a weird name, but that's the name of the guy it's named after. And so it's it was just cool to walk in and like Craig said, Frontierland can give you that like concrete jungle kind of a feeling, but this was like you can go into all the buildings and it feels like they've been there that long since the park's been there for so long, I guess.
Sam, what's the name of the man that I interacted with in the shack?
Oh, Joe?
Oh, Sad Eye Joe.
Yeah.
I'm glad I introduced you. He's a nice dude.
Yeah. So it's little touches like that really set it apart. And then like the attractions, like we've already mentioned the mine train and the log saloon ride, but the saloon is an attraction unto itself. One of my favorite West Coast wooden roller coaster, Ghost Rider, is just out of this world. I wish we would have had time to do the rest of the coasters, but it is it's a coaster park for a lot of it.
Right.
So you expect like what you do with a regional theme park around the area, like Six Flags, usually hour-long waits when it's very busy because just like grouping's a nightmare. People aren't loading on properly. Everything just moves slow. So it does have those issues to it. It very bad. But then it
But
makes...
for the rest of the year, you're walking on those rides. Like you're gonna walk. Like if you go after work on a Friday night, you're gonna walk on Montezuma's Revenge, or maybe wait 10 minutes for Accelerator, and then hang time might have a half an hour wait if it's not like a Boysenberry festival or something, because that's obviously brand new and pretty awesome. But yeah, it really brought the people in. And it's kind of nice to see Knott's packed, even though you got to wait a long time for the rides. But for a while, you kind of thought that Knott's is only staying open because of Knott's Scary Farm. It felt like that was kind of keeping it afloat the whole year, and for I think maybe a few decades it might have been. But I think that's all changed now. I think they do all these celebrations year round with the Charlie Brown thing. They have the Boysenberry Festival, but you guys have to come back for Ghost Town Alive.
So that sounded cool.
Ghost Town, how it was now. Wait till you see a bunch of actors running around, carrying a story that goes throughout the whole summer. It's awesome.
Yeah, I want to come back for more of the Snoopy stuff. I'm a huge Snoopy fan, arguably on the same level as Disney. I love Peanuts. Grew up reading everything Peanuts that I possibly could. I was enamored with the Snoopy show back in Camp Snoopy. Gosh, and now I can't even think of the name.
Something Beagle.
Space Beagle.
Yeah.
I just call it Walking on the Moon.
Yeah, well, because I found the song from it afterwards. Like, it's got like 10 remixes, so it's really hard to find the specific one they use. But
yeah. But that show is everything that I ever wanted it to be.
It has a little cult following now. It's pretty cool.
I've joined the cult, and I even loved the Boysenberry Festival show with Snoopy. It was so cheesy.
The contest with the mayor.
Yeah. It was cheesy in every way. But like when Snoopy comes out and he's got boysenberry pie all over his face, I'm like, that's all I need. It's I don't need the singers doing their classic show tunes in there. I just want Snoopy eating pie.
Yeah. I thought it was good. It was nice too because it's got a vibe of a little bit more relaxation too, and definitely take the train ride even if you make the mistake like us and get in line for it right when it's about to break down. Yeah, so we waited about 30 minutes for it, but it's fine.
At least you got to go ride Tron.
Oh, yeah. The Pony Express was cool. We got to ride on the vehicles that are like the Tron roller coaster, so now I got a little taste of that. I can't wait for that. Terrifying. But before we wrap up, I just want to mention one more thing, too, which is Universal Hollywood's getting a new attraction as well that they announced, which is the Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash that's going to be opening in 2020. Craig, do you want me to read this, or do you want to...
I don't have it in front of me, so I would just be stammering through it based on memory. Okay,
well, let me read this, and then because you're the Universal expert. So the new attraction is going to be based on the 2016 Illumination movie and its sequel that's coming out this summer. And according to Universal, in the all-new, fully immersive experience, guests will assume the role of stray puppies as they join a familiar cast of leading characters from The Secret Life of Pets, which includes Max, Snowball, Gidget, Chloe, and Duke, along with a host of other animal friends on the ultimate quest of finding forever homes. This innovative adventure will blend live, dimensional, and animated characters with hyper-realistic media as guests zip along a track aboard ride vehicles through bustling New York City streets toward the pet adoption event and the ultimate happy ending, forever homes. Along the way, guests will face an array of challenges and meet up with fellow animal pets eager to help guide them toward their destination. Karen Irwin, the president and COO of Universal Studios Hollywood, says, The Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash will capture the essence of the popular film and invite our guests to live vicariously through some of their favorite characters as they embark on the one-of-a-kind experience only available at Universal Studios Hollywood. So it sounds like in that there's no plan as of right now to bring it to Orlando based on the fact that she says only available at Hollywood. I don't know if that just means because it's going to be there first, but this at first sounded like it was going to be a dark ride to me, which is not common for Universal Studios, really. They're more thrill screen-based stuff, although this will have some screens. It sounds like there's going to be some physical, maybe animatronics in this ride.
I First off, the fact that Hollywood is getting something exclusive for at least the time being, that is huge, because it has been a long time since they've received something exclusive.
Super Silly Funland, I guess, but that doesn't really. It's just a play area,
and even that's been years at this point that it's been open. So, and I think they might have cloned that to one of the Asian parks, but I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But I know they did explore. Osaka. It was Japan.
I think so.
Yeah. So even that, they've been a little bit flexible on it, but starting off being exclusive to there is definitely amazing. And Secret Life of Pets for me is still a bit of a head scratcher. I get why they're going with it. It's definitely a movie that feels like in a dark ride, it can really be explored further, but I didn't think the movie was phenomenal. I thought it was okay. I actually fell asleep a little bit during it when I saw it in the theaters. But Sam, do your kids like Secret Life of Pets? Have you shown it?
They're too busy watching junk on YouTube, learning junk. Yeah. But first of all, thank God it's a dark ride. You know, Knott's has needed one for forever. I don't think they've ever had like a family dark ride. I thought maybe years ago they'd get a Shrek one, or even like when they advertise the Minions, they say the ride. It's not a ride. Yeah. You sit in the thing and watch a movie. So it's a dark ride. It's amazing. So if they combine animatronics and screens, that sounds fantastic. It sounds almost like a kid version of Transformers in a small little space. What I like about it, though, is it's right next to the Minion ride. So you have a little mini Illuminations land in a way. You have the Minion Mayhem ride. You have Secret Life of Pets. It is kind of, if they're going to eventually make an Illuminations area, that's great. Kind of funny that there is a British pub across the street. That's great. And then, but all these kids have to walk past The Walking Dead to get to it. It's right next to The Walking Dead. Yeah. So that's interesting too.
That's where. Well, I think the pub is on its last days, so I think that's going to be gone. They also have the one. I really blown off with all the Asian parks, but they have the Sing attraction coming to one of the Asian parks. So I almost wonder how long before that's going to also maybe be fitted into this little Illumination land.
I wonder how that works.
I got some sneak peeks of that Sing show.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. The costumes they have for the porcupine and the gorilla. I think kids are going to go nuts for that.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking like you participate in it, but if they come out and do their numbers,
it's like a talent. It's like America's Got Talent.
Interesting.
They all come out and perform for you. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Kind of like the idea
that's probably going to take up the center section and make that whole area.
Yeah. I think it is useful. Like, let's be honest. A lot of times they use the upper lot areas as still places where they can film. Like, it's if you watch Arrested Development, you can see the whole England section.
How I Met Your Mother.
And it's been used in plenty of stuff. But let's be real. If they can put attractions there, they don't need to film up there. They can make more money having attractions being in that area than using it for filming.
Well, the square footage there is so valuable. There's not a lot of space. And I think with more movie making going digital, they don't need as much of the back lot. So I think eventually over time, that's going to start slowly expand into the back lot, which, we don't want to like ruin the studio tour too much, but I think it'll be less and less as time goes on.
Well, and they've got.
Does that mean we get to explore Hill Valley somehow? And
that would be amazing.
Put a Ghostbuster attraction on New York Street right there. I'm okay with that.
Oh, I would die. I would love a Ghostbusters attraction. Well, and then they've got the Nintendo area on the way. Right. It's just been cleared and construction is beginning. So that's so cool. And they just debuted their new nighttime castle show, and I have heard rave reviews about it.
Amazing.
So, I cannot wait.
Total game changer.
Yeah, I'm super excited for us to get it here. But
I haven't been to Universal in about 4 years, but that Nintendo land,
that's going to pull you in.
That's going to make me want an annual pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think we'll have to check it out. Well, obviously we're going to check it out. Let's not kid ourselves here. Who will we work for? Yeah. Thank you guys for having this discussion with me today. We are running out of time. We've got to record our Tuesday show now. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged. We will see you next week with another episode. Thank you all for listening and watching. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.